Alright, time for some soldering, and the way I like to do it is to put the soldering iron on one side of the wire and feed the solder, touching both the wire and the soldering iron at the same time. Takes a bit of getting used to, but it's not too bad after a while. You only need a second or two per pin, and because I've trimmed all of the leads as I was putting the components on the board, I don't have any leads in the way, so that's why I like to trim the leads as I put them in the board. With these terminal strips, you can just break them into sets of 3 like that, and if you use one finger to hold one side and set up the solder so that you can add a little bit of solder as you heat the join. It's a bit tricky, but if you get just the one join there, that means that it won't fall out, and you can do the other 3 joins now. So I'll try that again. Solder up here, ready to go. It's a bit of a juggling act. Header goes in there, I'm holding it with one finger and soldering it on the other side. If you're not going to be connecting servo motors to the board, you don't really have to solder the headers on. And the headers over here and here are the same thing. Just measure out the length. There should be 10 in a row. Hold with one finger. And just solder one pin. Make sure it's nice and straight before soldering all the other pins. And really only takes less than a second per join. A little bit of solder. And I'm applying the solder in between the soldering iron and the lead. So I'll finish off those connectors later, and now I'll show you how to do the all-important sonar sensor. The way I like to do it is I like to balance it there, add a bit of solder to one pin from the top, and then with my left hand straighten it up. I reckon that looks pretty good. And now I can flip it around and solder the other legs. And now this is the little piezo speaker. I'll add a blob of solder there and a blob of solder there. I'm just going to use a couple of leads from earlier, from resistors, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I can so that I don't melt my fingers. Ugh, there we go. Not quite. Okay, that's one. And that's two. Now bend them around like that, and they go in here. Trim. Okay, so now I've just got the chips left, the motor driver chip and the battery pack. You can use silicone sealant on the battery pack. I like to use double-sided tape though. Just means it's quicker and I don't have any setting time to worry about. I'm going to pre-solder that. This is a bit tricky. Looks good to me. And at this stage make sure that the switch is in the off position, because sooner or later you'll be putting batteries in and it'll all be coming alive. So I'll finish putting in the chips later and I'll put in the some more connectors later and we'll be ready for the motors.